look at Joe. Now, early bird gets the worm. Let's go and cover what's happening here with Joe because a lot of people are not in the know, so they stuck on the island and they're hearing about what's going on with Fat Joe and his former hype man coming at him with these claims and things that he, said, I ain't do that. Well, I'm here to go over all those situations with Joe right quick so that everybody will be in the know. Now, this lawsuit was filed by Tyrone Blackburn. He's the guy that's representing Lil Rob against Diddy. In case you need some clarification, he was the guy suing DJ Academics. He's the one the judge cussed out for, saying like you just using my courtroom with these frivolous charges, to try to get a settlement. So the judge berated him in the Diddy case in that situation when it first started hitting off. Now, let's get to the gist of what this is really about before people can, make their own observations about what's going on here. Fat Joe has always been 100 since I've known him. Now, I know him through people. Like, Fat Joe has been coming to Chicago a lot back in the day. Like, he would come here and do shows. This is before we taking over and all this, all that. Fat Joe used to come to Chicago like crazy back in the lean back days, and this was early 2000s. He had a guy from Humble Park who was a SD, that's Spanish disciple. He was cool with one of his terror squad guys. His name's Mako, and Mako was cool with one of his guys that's in terror squad. So when he come to Chicago, his guy would talk to Mako, and I know Mako because I worked with his cousin. So we always used to work together at the warehouse. And Fat Joe came up there. If you wanted tickets, if Fat Joe in town, Mako would have tickets, passes, and everything to the after party, the whole nine. So Fat Joe had protection like crazy. He didn't even need it. He was walking around with just like himself and two other dudes. But if anybody walked up on him, like he had life takers around him. You know what I'm saying? So he was good in Chicago every time he came here. He never had no problems. So that's that. So that's the extent of that. Now, what I do know is Fat Joe's at the after parties, whatever, he can have any woman he wants, even when he was fat as hell. Puerto Ricans love big dudes. Like Puerto Rican dudes are fat and they big. They women don't care. Dog, they love him. Plus, he got fame. Man, you would have thought he was Chris Brown. Fat Joe, man, them chicks are screaming for Fat Joe. 100% screaming for Fat Joe. He came up here, he did radio, so he was up early in the morning, he did his thing on the radio, said come out, he performing at blah blah blah. And then that night they had the after party. It was all kind of girls that was trying to get up and hey, young girls trying to get up with him the whole night. And he was telling the girls then, I remember, he was saying, I got a wifey. I got a wifey, got got a wifey. He was adamantly saying that. I got a wifey, babe. I got a wifey. So it's bizarre to me to hear what this guy is saying about Joe. I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm just saying he could have had Rita. Rita's bad. So I'm like, dude, he could have had Rita. And Rita is bad, boy. Whew. So for him to be saying and turning down Rita like that, be like, I got a wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, wifey. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it hit different for us to hear Fat Joe in this because once they said it, I'm just like, that's some bull. I can see probably some of the other guys, but to see Fat Joe, I'm like, Joe, man, get the hell up out of here. You ain't about to catch me up there with Joe. Fat Joe, really? No nonsense, Joe. No. Like, really, Joe wasn't even moving like that, dog. It wasn't like Fat Joe was not that kind of guy. Like, it's just really wasn't his steez. Now, some other guys in his crew, yeah, I could see them moving like that, but not Joe. It's always now. I tell you, it's this new culture. Everybody wants to be a victim culture. So, oh yeah, because I'm like, if anybody's doing all this, why don't y'all go to criminal court? Why y'all going to the civil courts? So now I'm hearing that the feds are going to look into the case to see if there's anything there. But the judge don't trust it because it came from Tyrone Blackburn. He's already been reprimanded in the court for bringing cases in the court to try to, use the courtroom to put pressure on these celebrities to just settle. And they could just basically, extort and exploit these artists for money. Now, his hype man, who's been this hype man for like 16 years, claimed that he wasn't paid and compensated properly for all these acts. Then all kind of craziness in there. Um, Terrence D.A. Dixon filed a $20 million because Fat Joe announced both of them was in there. It was a $20 million lawsuit against Fat Joe, accusing him of coercing labor exploitation. Financial fraud was mentioned, um, sexual manipulation, violent intimidation, psychological coercion. They just went for all the things you could do and add to a situation. Yes, Fat Joe's name is Joseph Anthony Cortenga. And this person's name is Dixon. The same person that they got. I'm like, this the same Dixon? Jeez, they got two Dixons. Dixon suing Tyler Perry, and another Dixon is suing Fat Joe. They gotta get their dicks in. So he claimed his role went far beyond that of a typical hype man. He was the writer and background vocalist on some tracks like Congratulations and Ice Cream and Money Over Bitches. He said he was never properly compensated for his creative contributions either. Mm-hmm. Said Fat Joe forced him into humiliating situations, including recording sexual acts and threatening of abandonment in foreign countries if he refused compliance. Right. Dixon was coerced in more than 4,000 sexual acts, they said, to maintain his standing within the enterprise. It's like, what? I don't understand some of these people, B. Here's what I don't understand. You claim that Fat Joe was having underage sex with 15, 16 year olds, and you witnessed it. A Dominican girl who lives in New York City would perform oral on him so that he would pay for her cell phone. Mm-hmm. They said cash, clothing, and payments of her cell phone bill. Mm-hmm. Now, how much of this crap I'm gonna believe? Because not a shred of evidence has been submitted. We don't have anything yet from this case. Not to say that they don't have anything. Being a hype man, but you mad you didn't get any money. That's why you trying to press a civil lawsuit. Mm, I know, right? I almost passed out. Sitting over here exhausted. Don't worry, they will find the girl. Well, they're gonna have to find that girl. They're gonna have to find a whole lot of girls if this thing goes to trial. I mean, Tyrone looks like he's trying to force a settlement. Yeah, they said she was 15 years old and he paid for her to have a Brazilian butt lift. First off, that is too young to have a Brazilian butt lift. So if she was 15 years old, she wouldn't have that. And they said, oh, well, the girl is now married to a professional athlete. Well, we would love for that to come on out. Then he said Fat Joe met the minor Doe 3 when she was 15 and started to develop feelings for her. So much that he even contemplated leaving his wife. He got him a man like that at Harlem Nights. Richie, I think I'm in love with you. Hello? Yeah, give me your mother. Yeah, baby, yeah, I ain't never coming home again. Take care. They got my man in here like Harlem Nights. But no, I don't believe any of that. It's not Fat Joe Steve's. Well, Dixon claims that the aforementioned enterprise engaged in money laundering and tax scheme evasion schemes. Fat Joe and his co-defendants would artificially inflate Dixon's tax liabilities in an effort to conceal their expensive wage theft. Mm. Let me see. Damn, Joe. Any man can fall victim, right? Anybody can press a charge, but you're gonna have to prove all this stuff there. This is just stuff that Mr. Dixon is saying. The lawsuit was filed several months. On March 23rd, that's when the lawsuit really became a legal situation. So Dixon was sued by Fat Joe for extortion and defamation. And on March 23rd, he received a letter from Dixon and an attorney demanding compensation for his singing and ghostwriting services. Then Dixon alleged to threaten to file a complaint that included trafficking. Yeah, so now they talking about Fat Joe and all of these different things, and this, in my opinion, is a targeted attack because of what happened with the FBA situation, right? So he was targeted, and it's Tyrone Blackburn, who's become the authority of all attorneys, but a master of none. This is not a criminal case. And I want to say, well, it's not a criminal case as of yet. There go old Black Bear. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if it will ever be a criminal case because this Tyrone Blackburn, it seems like he concerned mostly about litigations and settling things out of court. Now, yesterday was a good night for those who was checking it out and everything because you got to hear a male perspective. Yep. Tyrone trying to get paid. Of course, Tyrone got to eat too. But here's the situation though. Yeah, it might look like that, but then you got a situation where they said Fat Joey forced him into humiliating situations. What's humiliating situations? Is it something that can criminally put you away? I doubt it. I know. Yeah, sun's coming up. I'm about to lay it down. Well, this guy said he was forced into all these acts that was put on the table for him. They said on March 23, that's when they got the letter from Dixon and the attorney demanding compensation and singing rights for the ghostwriting series. And they said, well, you already know. He turned down well, the one-on-one game. Mm. Salute, Mike. But yeah, Fat Joe, I can't. Nobody who know Fat Joe could even see that go down. Like Mako would never ever see that going down. You know, Mako's in and out of jail, but he ain't never would never hit nothing like that. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was almost out, but I'm gonna get out of here. What's up, Jamal? No. After no, Dixon said he was demanding compensation for his singing and ghostwriting, and that's when he got tired of Fat Joe giving him the runaround. So he went ahead and had the lawyer send a letter over to to Gene Deal, and all right, I'm gonna shut it down for the night. Thank you all for tuning in. Fat Joe has denied all the claims, saying that this person is shaking him down for money, and he cleared up a lot of this stuff. So Joe Budden did what he did. Joe Budden, Fat Joe, did what he did. Quite sure there would be a trail of Joe doing stuff like this. And there isn't a trail of Fat Joe doing anything like this remotely or whatever. So anyway, I'm I'm out this time for real. That's right. You getting up and I'm going to sleep. That's how it works. Hmm. All right, man. Thank y'all. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life, the Casino for Life Patreon, and I'm finna go to bed. Tired.